Good afternoon, learners and colleagues. Today we'll be doing perimeter and area, the area in the 2Ds. Right. What is more important is for us to remember our 2D shapes because we'll be doing area on our two-dimensional figures, your square. Remember the properties of the square. What's the square is made out of? Equal sides, 4 equal sides, opposite sides, parallel and equal, all sides equal. Those properties are important because they will help you in terms of calculating the perimeter and the area. The rectangle as well, you've got your length, your breadth, your base, or your height. The triangle, 3 sides, which will define your shape, what it's composed of, and what size or dimension to use for area or perimeter. Same thing with trapezium, where you have your 2 parallel sides and 2 other sides that are not parallel, your rhombus and your kite. That is very, very important to remember. Right. When we look at those two figures, perimeter, the first one on top, the red one is circled with red. Perimeter, the word itself is self-explanatory. Self-explanatory. It explains itself. Peri, around. Meter, what to measure. In other words, when you look where that arrow it is, when we start from left to the right, going down, again from right to left, and then going up, when we surround the area. But remember, what kind of area are we talking about? What are we surrounding? Are we surrounding a rectangle? Are we surrounding a rhombus? It's important. Around. Think of your fence at home. Think of your fence at home. Think of your devil's fork. Think of your stop nonsense, whatever is around. And then when you talk about the area, is within. What is within that shape? Depending what shape are we talking about? What shape are we talking about? It's important. So the perimeter around, surrounding, and what is surrounding? What kind of figures or shapes are surrounding the area or the shape of our concern, the one that we'll be talking about. What is surrounding it is very, very important. Right? Area within the boundary, within whatever is surrounding. So it's very, very important. For example, here at the soccer pitch, the distance around the edge of the shape, the edge, peri, at the end, the periphery, at the end of the shape, at the end of that shape. All right. Okay. Sorry about that. So when we talk about the area, perimeter, we said around, and we'll also be measuring. Remember, we'll also be measuring there. What are we measuring? All those sides, the longer side, which 2 units each, and the shorter side, 1 unit each. So you add all of them, add the length of each of its, all the sides that are in that shape. That is the perimeter. We'll be adding when we talk about the perimeter. We'll be measuring the surrounding. Perimeter, again, when you look at a triangle, what kind of a shape is a triangle? It's a 3-sided figure. Around, what sides are around the triangle? Those 3 sides that we are all going to add. A square, remember the properties. What are we going to add there? What are we going to add there? The sides that are equal. The sides that are equal of a square. Hence, it's important to remember the properties of your shapes, your 2D shapes. A rectangle, the longer sides and the shorter sides. 2 of the shorter sides and 2 of the sides, the longer sides. You add all the sides. And remember now, when we talk about our circle, your circumference around that, that circulation around the circle. That's what we'll be talking about in terms of a perimeter. And the area, the inside, of course, the inside of those shapes. When you look at this one, we've got 5 units and 3 units. The blue rectangle, you count how many units around, and then when you talk about the area, in other words, your length times the breadth. In other words, that longer dimension and the shorter within the length and the breadth. That space is the measure of the space within the length and the breadth. Same thing with your purple rectangle there. Same thing. What is the size of our length? What is the size of our breadth? In other words, within those 2 dimensions, then we'll be talking about your area there. And remember, around that shape, around is your perimeter, measuring around, the surrounding, the periphery, the edge, and the space between, the space within those dimensions is when we refer to the area. Further here, it's explained when you look at the pink figure there, and on the edges, the perimeter is the edge or the boundary of the area. In other words, outside the area. The area is within our perimeter, depending on the dimension, 2 sides, 3 sides in a quadrilateral, 3 sides in a triangle. Therefore, within the perimeter, the boundary, that's when we talk about the area inside. And how it's measured, it depends what units you're given, millimeters, centimeters, meters, or kilometers. So the area is the space within and bounded by the dimensions, length, or your breadth on the outside. Right, area here, the amount of space inside the shape. And this shape is made out of how many? It's made up of 4 sides, which is a quadrilateral, and opposite sides are equal. Opposite sides are equal. Therefore, you add all the sides in terms of perimeter, but in terms of area, how long is your length, the measure of your length and the measure of your breadth, you multiply that, it will give you the area within that shape. So hence it's important to remember the shapes. Hence it is important to remember the shapes so that we can see sizes of your sides, so that you can use it in either adding the sides or in multiplying. We can look at this picture in front of us here. Area of a rectangle, your base and your height. Your base, your length, or your breadth, or base in terms of your height. That's when you calculate, but it's bounded by length and breadth. Within that area, that's what we're talking about. As well, when you look at the figure on the right, cutting your rectangle into 2 equal figures, your 2 triangles. 2 triangles. In other words, area of a triangle will be half. Remember, the area of a rectangle is that base by height or length by breadth. But now the triangle is half of the rectangle. Hence, we'll say half base multiplied by height. We can even see here in the figure below, if you cut it into yellow and red shapes, you'll always be getting half of the rectangle. Hence, we say half base by height when we look for the area of a rectangle. Here it's about trapezium or the trapezoid. When you talk about the area of a trapezium, we look at the parallel sides. Hence, the properties of these figures are very, very important. In other words, in this trapezium, side A and B are the ones that are parallel. And if you add half sum of those sides multiplied by height when you look for the area of a trapezium. Half sides, sum of the sides, you add A and B, half of A and B multiplied by height. In this case, your height is 60 centimeters, your A is 3 centimeters, your B is 7 centimeters. Therefore, 3 plus 7. And half of 3 plus 7 is 10, and half of it is your 5, and 5 by 6 will give you 30. Right, that's what it basically we will be dealing with this week. Area and perimeter, but remember, perimeter is the outside of the shape and properties of that shape. What is that shape made out of? It's very important to know what properties of our shapes. Let's go back there quickly. Here we remember we said your square, four-sided figure, a quadrilateral, all sides are equal because you'll be measuring. Rectangle, opposite sides are equal, 2 longer sides and 2 shorter sides. So it's important to use this for your perimeter. Remember, you add all sides, 2 longer side, 2 shorter side. And we look for the area is your length by breadth or base by height. And then when it comes to square, all sides are equal. So each and every side will be represented by the S. In other words, perimeter, there are 4 sides. Side and side and side, 4 of them is your perimeter. When you look for the area, you just multiply your S by S, which is the area of a square. Triangle, like we've just indicated, is half base by height, because we've realized that a triangle is half of a rectangle. Trapezium, like we said, you add parallel sides, half of their sum, multiply by height. And then your parallelogram will be discussing those in other lessons. Today, we're just focusing on a rectangle, a square, triangle, and a trapezium. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed your lesson, and then you'll get your quiz in the link. Thank you. Bye.